Hello, it's Karen Burniston here with my monthly designer challenge video. This month our theme is paradise, and I've got a little bit of a unique take on it. What's paradise to me is when I have a good idea for a video and it comes together quickly, especially when I only have one day to do it. You can check out all of my die designs at karenburniston.com, and today I'll be using the Cupcake Pop-Up. Today's video was requested by some of the Karen Burniston pop-up peeps after they had seen this card, which is one that I'd made for a friend using this same technique. So I definitely invite you to join our new Facebook group, Karen Burniston Pop-Up Peeps. Just search for it on Facebook. So first things first, I need a card. I've chosen a 5x5 card, which means I need a 10-inch by 5-inch piece of cardstock scored in the middle for folding. And then for the inner pop-up card, I'll use pattern paper. This is Doodlebug, Kitten, Smitten. Made sure that I have oriented it sideways for a side fold card. And then the size on that is 9 5/8 by 4 5/8, and again scored in the center for folding. So the first step is to cut my pop-up right into that pattern paper card. And I'll do that by putting the alignment nubs right over the fold of the card, and I'm just centering it top to bottom. And then I make sure that the cupcake portion is to the right side of the card. You can use any die cutting machine that can accommodate a wafer thin die. I am using a Sizzix Big Shot today, just rolling that through my machine and then removing the die. Training this pop-up is pretty easy. I like to start in the center and I back fold the card. That trains that center fold in both directions. And then I like to get my fingers inside the little box that's created at the base of the pop-up and then just put my thumbnails right into the valley fold that's at the base of that box so I can start to work that fold. Then I skip up to the other end and find the valley fold where the pop-up connects to the card up at the top part of the cupcake. A little pinch on the sides of that little frosting top. And then now I need to work the box itself. So first I'll find the two spots where it's connected to the card and work those. And then now I need to start defining that little zigzag fold where the cupcake meets the box. And once I've got it started, then I should be able to put my hands close together and then carefully close the card and work all of those folds in the closed position. So there is no difference in how you fold the pop-up, no matter how you're planning on orienting it, whether you're doing the traditional top fold or now we're doing a side fold. Okay, I can go ahead and add the right side of this pop-up card inside my backing card. And for that, I really just need a tape runner. And I'll just run that tape runner all over that side of the pop-up, all the flat parts, the outside of the pop-up itself. Then just line up the fold right in the fold of the card and press it into position. Now, since I'm planning on making a window card, I would like to be able to place a piece of transparency between the two layers after die cutting the window. So to allow me to do that, I'm only going to use tape runner on the left side of the card, just around the pop-up itself for now. And then I can just close that card against that adhesive to attach the left side of the pop-up, but not all the way out to the end. So in other words, I can still get between the layers after die cutting the window. Now for the window itself, I'll use the decorator pieces to make the bigger cupcake. So there's two pieces that will combine to make a decorator cupcake. And I would like them to sit in the finished card something like this. So I just have to figure out the positioning on those dies. I've got them blade side up. Then if I put some temporary removable tape up underneath the die, I'll be able to close the card and transfer it to the other side in exactly the correct position. And I'll do that one die at a time. So I'll start with the upper frosting part of the cupcake. I have it transferred. I can adjust a little bit to make sure that it's straight the way I like it. And then now the goal is to run this through the die cutting machine just far enough to cut the window but not get all up into my pop-up. So to do that, I need to make sure that my upper cutting plate comes just to the end of where I'm looking to finish the die cutting. Then I roll that into my machine. I'll be able to hear it clear that cutting pad, and as soon as it does, I slide the cutting pad out the back end and the card back out the front end, and that will cut the window into the card. To finish out the cupcake shaped window, I need to switch to the liner, cupcake liner die, and I would want to overlap that just a little bit into the opening because I need that overlap for actually constructing the decorator cupcake. So when I tape this into place, I can just center it and then turn it over and just make sure that I see a little bit of that zigzag edge coming up into the window that I've already cut. As for the die cutting, it's exactly the same as with the frosting. I need the cutting pad to stop just past the die, and as soon as it clears it, to slide the card out the front end of the machine. So that is my cupcake shaped window, and then I can still get between those two layers now to add a piece of transparency over that opening. So for that, I'll just add a tape runner around the cupcake itself, put the transparency onto the blue card, and then flip the whole thing over and add the tape runner on the back of the pattern paper to seal it. So that completes the pop-up and window portion of the card. So now I need a decorator cupcake to be visible through the window. So for that, I'll use the pieces that come in the die set, including a large cherry. I just cut through 2 layers on that, green and a dark pink, and then I can cut away the green cherry and then glue down the stem. And then my favorite way to make a dimensional cupcake liner is to cut 2 of the liner pieces. I just cut through 2 layers at once. And then on the top one, I accordion fold it, add a little bit of glue in the outside 2 panels, and then glue it to the other one. And then for the frosting, I did cut through the back side of the paper, and that way it would be oriented correctly for the window. And I just chose a cute little pink spotted paper for that. I can use my card window to make sure that I glue these 2 pieces together in the perfect spot for them to line up with the window. So to do that, I would place my cupcake liner face down in the opening, add some glue across the top in the little zigzag area, then place my frosting face down in the window as well. And that way I know that I have the exact amount of overlap that I did with my dies, so that that cupcake is now the exact same shape as the window itself. Okay, I embellished my decorator cupcake with the cherry on a pop dot. I made a ribbon and bow, and I added Wink of Stella glitter pen to the cherry and the bow. I'll place the decorator cupcake face down in the window opening. Then I can judge about how much of the end of that pop-up is going to hit the back of that decorator cupcake in the closed position. Then I'll add some tape runner out to the end of that pop-up cupcake so it's sticky on top. Then I'll put the decorator cupcake back in the window opening, hold it in place while I carefully close the right side of the card. Now that cupcake is lined up perfectly with the opening, but is attached to the pop-up so that it moves with the pop-up as the card opens and closes. So since the stem of the cherry is cut off when the card is closed, I think it's fun to add another cherry to the front of the card that just lines up perfectly with the one on the inside. And then since I'm overlapping the transparency, I will be able to see the back of that cherry inside the card. So then to make it look better, I will add a mirror image cherry inside the card that perfectly lines up with it. To embellish my card further, I'll turn to some decorator pieces from the spinner square pop-up. I want that second largest square, and I'm also going to use the die that cuts 2 sides to a lacy square frame, and I've cut that twice so that I end up with 4 pieces to that frame. So I will use the big square to cut out my greeting, which is one of my favorite stamps from Riley & Company's Funny Bones line. But rather than leave it as a square, I'll use the die twice so that I can get a rectangle out of it, but it'll have all that fun decoration that comes with that square die. I've cut a square and covered it with double stick tape, and that square is 1 7/16 of an inch square. Now what that is 1.5 inches, and you come back in 1 tick on your trimmer, and that will give you the perfect size square to use those scalloped lacy frame pieces from the spinner square die set. And then also from the spinner square die set, I'll use the smallest square to die cut a stamped happy birthday and place that in the middle of the frame. Now that square is just a smidge smaller, which means I get a cool little border between the frame and the square, which I decided to fill with glitter since it was sticky. And then making sure that I only use adhesive behind that piece where it will hit the pop-up, I am going to attach it to my upper pop-up box. I assembled a cat from the cat and dog die set and just styled it to look a bit like the kitties that were in the paper. And where I'm going to place the kitty is on the upper right corner of the happy birthday frame so that she will peek through the window in the closed position. So for that, I just need to make sure that I only use adhesive on the bottom portion of the cat that's going to actually be attached to the frame. So now she will travel with that happy birthday frame. So in the closed position, she'll peek through the window, then you open it, she's going to raise up and to the left. Okay, finishing touches. For the front of the card, I will add a strip of the same pattern paper, and then 3 times around the card, I'll wrap some baker's twine, and then put the end of the baker's twine through the kitty's paws, and then tie it off in a knot. And then I'll also knot off the other end of the twine. We do know how kitties love to play with string, so I just thought that would be a cute look for the card. On the front of the card, I added that greeting using some pop dots underneath the piece, and then embellishing with the smallest bow from the cupcake set and one of the little hearts that comes with the cat and dog. And then the other little heart I put inside the card on a rectangle from the spinner square that I will use as a place to sign it. The finished card measures 5 by 5 square, meaning that it will fit nicely in an A7 envelope for mailing. It's not particularly bulky, so I think you'll be able to use just a single stamp. As always, you can check the information box on YouTube for more information on the supplies used on today's card, as well as a link to the blog post where you'll find photos, as well as links to all of the design team's amazing Paradise cards for this month's challenge. If you click on the website link, you'll go to KarenBurniston.com where you can find out information about purchasing these dies, as well as links to all my other social media accounts. You can subscribe to this YouTube channel and check out some of my other videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.